Guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock, which means it's time for another video. And today, I'm going to talk about an interesting subject that a lot of people are talking about at the moment. In fact, people have been debating back and forth on this subject for the best part of a year. And I think that I'm somebody who is absolutely uniquely qualified to talk about this subject because I can see it from both points of view. I'm talking about long tutorials on projects and do they need to happen? Do you need to have a long tutorial on a project? Now, the reason I'm talking about this now, I mean, people have debated this back and forth for the last year. But the reason I'm talking about it now is there's been a big debate taking place on the Magic Cafe. And it's under the new trick by Matthew Bish and Garrett Thomas called Blur, which I haven't seen, but I have got over there and I'm going to be reviewing soon. I will tell you that I watched the trailer to that trick and I think that that trailer is possibly the single worst trailer in the entire history of Magic, and there's a few different reasons why I think that, so I'm going to be doing a video on that very, very soon. But anyway, on the Magic Cafe, as the cafe tends to do, it starts off on a particular subject and then goes off at a complete and total tangent. And they ended up talking about long tutorials. Now, I have no idea how long the tutorial is for Blur. I'm not too sure. I haven't watched it yet. I haven't even opened it. But I can imagine that if they're talking about long tutorials, it's a long one. And a few people have mainly been negative on there about long tutorials, and they're saying, hey, I'm glad that the tide has turned and more people are calling out long tutorials. It's a total waste of time. I'm kind of paraphrasing here. I think somebody else said something along the lines of, I'd rather have 2 or 3 of the best tricks rather than the creator talking about every single brain fart that comes into their head. A few people said, that they don't like the fact that the long tutorial is a selling point for the product, and a lot of the time a long tutorial is included to justify the price tag of a product. I think this product is $40 and people were saying it's a $30 trick, and there's a tutorial on there that's longer, which is to justify the extra $10. I don't know if that's the case or not. And like apparently all of the tricks on there are repetitive. Like I say, I haven't seen Blur, I don't know. But people are talking about it, and people have been talking about this for a while. Now, I think I was one of the first people, when I came back to the Magic community in 2020, after being away for several years, I think I was one of the first people to actually call a trick a project. I might be wrong, and I think the word project had been used before, but when I brought out Visible, and I called it the Invisible Deck Project, which was really the first trick that I released coming back after my hiatus with the Magic community. I filmed Gossip first, but I'm pretty sure that I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the Invisible Deck Project was the first thing that I brought out. Not 100% sure, but I called it the Invisible Deck Project, and it was like 3.5 hours, and that was a selling point. There were multiple routines on there, and it was like a deep dive into the Invisible Deck. And since that point, a lot of my tutorials have been longer if I feel that it needs a longer tutorial. Not always. Like, I think Gatekeeper was about 20 minutes. That was not a long tutorial. There's things that I've brought out that haven't had long tutorials, but a lot of the meatier projects, like Evoke and Cube 52 and the Magic Button and Keymaster and Chop and all these different things, there is a long runtime. There's a long tutorial. And I'm one of the people that if you said to somebody in the Magic community, hey, name somebody that does a long tutorial, they're probably going to say my name, because my name has become synonymous with doing a long tutorial, right? It just has. So, but I can also see it from the other side of things. I can also see it from the point of view as a reviewer, because don't forget, I review projects all of the time. I review a whole bunch of stuff. And when I review something, as a reviewer, now don't forget, myself and Ryland, when we do the Craig and Ryland review show, Ryland's just walked behind the camera. If you bought the keys, thanks, Ryan. He's just going off to play football. When me and Ryland review stuff, we learn everything because we try to perform every single trick that we review. And I've always look, there's reviewers out there that don't perform the tricks, which is fine. Some of them just openly say, I'm not going to perform this, but I've opened it and this is what I think. And that's fine. That's all well and good. But the reason that me and Ryland don't bring out reviews immediately, you'll see that we're not the first to the game. And what I mean by that is when a new trick comes out, We're not normally the first review channel to drop it. There's some review channels that will drop it within a day or two. We're not that people. We're normally a couple of weeks later, if not more. And the reason is we have to learn the trick. And we watch the whole tutorial, and then we have to learn it to the point that we can perform it on camera. And a lot of the time, I like to put my own little spin on it, right? So it's fine if a reviewer doesn't want to do that. If a reviewer wants to get a product and just talk about it based on the trailer, that's fine. But I think that you can only give it a full 100% review if you've learnt it and you can perform it, which is what the Wizard Product Review did. I did this originally on the Wizard Product Review, and it's what me and Ryland do now. And because of that, we have to watch. We can't just pay the product lip service. We can't just skip through, get the gist, and put a review out, hoping to be the first person to put a review up and therefore get the most reviews. We can't do that. So when we're reviewing a product, if I reviewed, I don't know, Cube 52, for example, and I had to sit there and learn 5 hours of material, as a reviewer, I'd be like, oh my God, this is going to take me forever. I just reviewed Gas by Eric Tate, and I put the tutorial on, and it was 25 minutes, 30 minutes long. I was like, yes, results. This is not going to take very long. So I can see it from both points of view. I can see it from the point of view of somebody who does projects that have long tutorials, and I can also see it from the point of view of somebody that probably watches more new tricks that get released than anybody, and I can see it from the point of view of somebody who, has to sit there and watch more magic than most people, to be perfectly honest. So I want to address this because a lot of people, as I say, on the cafe and various different Facebook groups, they think that the only purpose for a longer tutorial is to hike the price up or present every single brain fart. And look, I'm not going to say that doesn't happen. But as somebody who brings out long tutorials, I can tell you right now that that's not why I put long tutorials out on my projects. There's a few reasons why my tutorials are long, right? Now, the first reason is, and I've always done this, by the way, this is not a new thing. I've always done this. Just quickly to point this out, my very first DVD was Flipped Out, and it was an in-depth dive into the flipper coin. It was 2.5 hours of routines with a flipper coin. Then my next DVD was Attack of the Bag. It was like 10 routines with a coin bag. Then Return of the Bag, another 10 routines with a coin bag. Then I think it was Locked in a Room Without Coins, which was like 15 card routines with a regular deck. I've always been the person that's brought out long tutorials because I love when I have an idea for a trick. What I don't want to do is I don't want to just go, right, okay, this is how the trick's going to work. This is perfect. Right, there it is. Now it's for sale. I want to try and take everything I could possibly think of with that trick and include it on the project, right? And that's because that's how I consumed my magic when I learnt magic. I came at an era when I would sit there and watch Vic Pinto Tricker Tape, Patrick Page, Simon Lovell, Close-Up Magic with Simon Lovell on both the Repro Magic ones and the Tricker Tape ones. I would watch these videos, and there were always lots of material on there, and I would learn all of that material. And then L&L DVDs, there were always really long DVDs. You buy an L&L DVD set, there's 3 DVDs. Each one of them had like probably about 10 or 15 routines on it. Easy to Master Card Magic series, Easy to Master Coin Magic series, the Expert Coin Magic by David Roth. The list goes on and on and on, man. My favorite thing wasn't to buy a one-trick wonder. It was to buy a project. It was to buy like a collection of routines so I could see exactly how the creator routined all these different things together and how they actually put an act together. That was my favorite thing, getting into magic, right? And that went away. The day of the L&L DVD is over. These days, you will rarely see a project come out that doesn't include a physical product unless it's a download. And even something that could be a download, they try to put physical products in there, like Illusionists Kickstarters, because they know that if they put physical products in there, there's going to be more demand, less people are going to be able to pirate it, or whatever the case may be. But I came from a time where long tutorials were just a given. And when coming back to Magic in 2020, I wanted to do the same thing, because you have to understand, right, when I came back to Magic in 2020, it's not like I decided, right, okay, let's release some stuff. I'll create it really quickly and publish it. I love creating magic. And in the 7 or 8 years that I was away from this community, having nothing to do with it whatsoever, I was creating magic constantly. I have pages and pages and pages. I have folders of notes from the last 10, 15 years. And a lot of the stuff that you're seeing come out now is stuff that I created a decade ago. It just is. I've been working with the Mirage deck. I've been working with the Svengali deck. I've been working with the Invisible deck for decades. There's some stuff that's not the case, like the Cube 52 project, for example. But a lot of routines that come out, I've been literally working on these ideas for 10 or 15 years. So when I started releasing Magic again and working with various different production companies, it was a case of not creating stuff specifically for them, but it was a case of going through my files and going, right, okay, I think this would work. I think this would be good. I think this would be good. And I've got detailed notes on multiple different routines. You look at the Nightshade coin set, that came out 15 years ago. You look at the Mirage coin set, that came out 15 years ago. You look at Gossip, that was due to come out when I left the Magic community 10 years ago. You look at Trivia, that's basically a reimagining of my love cards that came out about 10 years ago. The point I'm trying to make is I always have enjoyed doing longer tutorials because I think it kind of shows that you've thought about the product. I think there's two things. When somebody releases a trick and you buy it, I think there's two things that show that the person that's created that trick has thought about that product and it's not just a brain fart that they've just thrown out there. The first thing is whether there are live performances, because I cannot see any reason why live performances are not included on a project unless they don't have confidence performing their own material. It is so easy to get live performances now. Grab yourself a camera, grab yourself an iPhone, grab yourself an Android, go out into the street, stop somebody and show them a trick. It is that simple. I'm going out next week and I'm doing a whole bunch of live performances. Guess what? It's going to be a piece of cake. I'm going to go to London, I'm going to walk around bars, Nemed's going to be there, and we're just going to film a load of live performances. It's not a difficult thing, right? So I think the first thing that shows that the creator has put attention into their product is live performances. And I think the second thing is that the tutorial is well fleshed out and they talk about everything. And what I mean by that is I've seen tutorials, N2G are a perfect example, when they gloss over everything. It's like, okay, just do this. And they haven't sat down and thought about how to do the tutorial. They haven't sat down and thought about the structure of the tutorial or what they're going to teach or the order in which they're going to teach it. They just haven't thought that. They've just literally sat down for 5 minutes, showed the trick, and then that's it. And I think that's a disservice. I think you're taking the piss out of your customers. The people that are buying that trick, I think you're taking the piss. That's what I think, honestly. So, why do I do long tutorials? Well, the first reason is, like I said, I have a lot of information on this trick that I think is pertinent. Now, there are people out there that will say, well, most of those ideas are brain farts and you should just put one or two of the best tricks. And that's what people should learn. And my point to that is, when I bring out a trick, especially a longer project like Evoke or Mind Blocks or something like that, I will have people message me and they will tell me their favourite trick. And a lot of the time, it's different tricks. Like Nightshade, everybody has come to me with a different trick. Now, Nightshade had about 50 or 60 routines on it. Different tricks. Everyone says different tricks. Like, I've probably had maybe 30 different tricks in Nightshade that people have said are their favourite tricks on the project. So how am I supposed to decide which two to put on the project? How am I supposed to do that? Because I might go, right, these are my two favourite, these are the two that I'm going to teach. Well, then the person that messaged me saying this one was their favourite, they're not going to be able to do that. They're not going to be able to do that because they haven't been taught that. And then somebody else will say, yeah, I get that, but you're taking creativity away from that person because now you've given them all the information on everything you can do with it. There's nothing left to do. And to that, I say, I disagree, because no matter how in-depth the tutorial is, there's always more that you can do with it. There just is. It's why I bought out Chop in 2010 or 2011 or whenever it was. And when I bought it out with Penguin Magic in 2020, or 2022, whenever it was, 2021, whatever. When I bought Chop out again through Penguin, it had an extra hour and a half of material because I've been working on it since the original Chop. And that's why, since Chop has come out in whenever it was, I've updated the tutorial from Penguin twice. with more handlings, more routines, more bonus ideas. Just because somebody has been very in-depth when it comes to a tutorial doesn't mean that there's no ideas left. That's ridiculous. In fact, it's exactly the opposite, because if you give people all the information and you tell people everything that you've done, they will come into it from a completely different approach. It's happened to me. I just showed Peter Nardi a couple of days ago a trick, not through Alakazam, a trick I've got coming out through Murphy's, and Penguin, sorry, and he said, why don't you do this with it? I was like, mate, that's genius. I've been doing this for 3 years and I never even thought about doing that. That's great, because he's looking at it from a different approach. So it doesn't stifle creativity at all, but what it does do is it shows a level of respect for the people that have bought the trick. As well as showing a level of respect for the people that have bought the trick, it also shows that you have thought things through. And that's why the other thing that you're going to see, and this is the other thing that make my tutorials a bit bigger, you're going to see live studio performances of every single trick. Now, I'm not going to do live performances to audiences of every single trick, because if there's like 40 tricks on the project, it takes a long time to go out and get live performances. It's not a thing that you can do easily. Like if I go out for 4 hours, I'll probably get 6 or 7 like blocks that we can use, because people are going to say no, and whatever the reason is. But you're going to see lots of live performances to real people on my projects of probably a quarter or half the tricks. But everything else, you're going to see a full studio performance. So if there's 20 tricks on a project and there's a full studio performance of, say, 20 of those tricks, and each trick takes 5 minutes to perform, that's a chunk of time that's part of that tutorial. You add in then the live performances, that's even more of a chunk of time. But I think that there should be live performances on there, and I think that I should be giving away as much information about everything that you can do with this as you want. Now, anybody who's got my projects will know that I do try to structure it so that within the first half an hour you know exactly how this trick works. So you can just watch the first half an hour if you want to. You get the idea, you can do the main routine. Everything else is bonus material. Look at it like that if you want to. But I think it's why Evoke, for example, came with a quick start guide. It came with a quick start guide because we wanted to get you started straight away without wading through all the material. Cube 52 came with a quick start guide. Most of my material comes with a quick start guide for that exact same reason. I think it's very important to chapter the tutorial, and a couple of the early Alakazam tricks and projects weren't catalogued, weren't timestamped, but the latest ones are, and I insist to everybody I work with that if it's a long tutorial, that is timestamped. I think that's key. I think that's very, very important, and you see that on all of the tutorials I bring out now. But as long as it's timestamped, and as long as you've got a sort of a quick start thing, I don't see the problem of including a bunch of extra material. Now, people will say, well, all it's there for is to hike the price up. And to that, I completely disagree. It's not there to hike the price up. It's there because I want to give people as much information as possible. That's the reason it's there. And the other thing is, I do think that information is valuable. Now, people on the cafe would say, well, hang on a minute, it's just brain farts and you're just coming up with any old idea. Well, here's the thing. A lot of the time, and I learned this from Penguin Magic. When I started working with Penguin Magic, the first time I worked with them, they said, when you do a tutorial, you do the tutorial as if you're teaching somebody who's never done magic before. It needs to be accessible to everybody. So if you've got my Magic Button project, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's the same on most projects, but it's very obvious on Magic Button. In that, on Magic Button, there's an introduction to what the project is and how it works and blah, 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 blah. That's like 5 minutes. But then the first hour is sleights. This is how to do a double lift. This is how to do a card control. This is how to do a riffle force. This is how to do a Mexican turnover. This is how to do a Garriolet touch force. This is how to do this. This is how to do that. I spent the first hour teaching sleights, and then I went into the routines. And the reason I did that is because I wanted anybody who doesn't know the moves that are in this project, I wanted to be able to have them all there. But what I hate is if I'm watching a project and I'm being taught to Elmsley count when I already know how to do an Elmsley count. Right, now I'm going to teach you the Elmsley count. No, I think that the tutorials of the individual tricks should be quite quick. And the way to do that is to move the sleights away and say, well, now you can do an Elmsley count. If you don't know what this is, go check out earlier on in the project. You're going to see how the Elmsley count works. So a lot of the time when I do a tutorial, and it's a meaty tutorial and there's various moves used over the course of the tutorial, those moves are taught right at the very beginning of the project. It's the same with Nightshade, it's the same with Mirage, it's the same with Apparition. Those moves are taught right at the very beginning of the project, and I think that's very, very important, because that runtime that people criticise as being a longer tutorial, well, that first hour of Magic Button is just teaching sleights. But if you already know the sleights, just skip past that. But if you don't know the sleights, that's invaluable. Because I'd rather have the sleights there and spend an hour teaching them than have someone buy this trick and they're not able to do it because they don't know how to do a Gary Olay touch force, for example. So that's the other thing to consider. But also, when it talks about value with a tutorial, you've also got to consider that a lot of the time, at least with my tutorials, and I know other people do this as well, you'll have special guests on. I don't think anybody can argue that having Pete Turner on the Evoke project and talking about mentalism with emotions, or having Ian Rowland on the Evoke project talking about how to evoke emotions using the Evoke project, or having Peter Nardi on there, I don't think anybody could argue that that wasn't incredible value. You had a 2-hour masterclass from Pete Turner talking about everything that you need to know with these cards. Then you have the Cube 52 project, and you see that I had Kev Chi and Colin Klaus on there, two of the leading experts on Magic with ungimmicked Rubik's Cubes. I don't think anyone could argue that that wasn't valuable. You're learning a bunch of moves on there from Kev Chi and Colin Klaus that you would normally have to pay for if you go for somewhere like the Refractor project. Then you look at things like my ED Seat project, which was like 7 hours long. But it had a bunch of material on there, including a 2-hour interview on the binary system by Pete Turner. Now, if Pete Turner, if Illusionist put out a download, Pete Turner, 2 hours talking about routines with the binary system, with the binary principle, people would buy that. They would. It's on the project for free. So I don't look at having, but you know, I know a thing or two about Magic as well. So even if it's a tutorial where I'm just on it on my own, and that's rare because normally I'm hyper aware that people are more intelligent than me, and I like to have other people on the project because then again they're offering things from their point of view. You know, it's the reason why when I go to Alakazam and I film coin projects, I kind of insist on having Andy Smith there with me, because Andy Smith is an incredible coin magician. If you've never seen Andy do coin magic, he's unbelievable. He's incredible. He's amazing. It's why I was on the Eric Stevens project, the Styx project. It's why I'm on his Jabloon project, which is coming out later this year. So the point is, I suppose it's your point of view. The people on the cafe and various different Facebook groups will say this long tutorial is in place because they want to justify charging $40 for it instead of $30. My attitude is the price is whatever the price is. And bearing in mind, something like Magic Button was like $20, I think. But the price is what the price is. And I think Evoke was $30. I think, what's the other one? Cube 52 was like $30. I personally think that the value that's in those tutorials is valuable. And I've heard back from lots of people saying, oh my God, yeah, it's a long tutorial, but it was amazing because it told me everything I needed and I learned this from it and this from it and this from it and this from it. The amount of people that have come to me and they've said, hey, I've got Cube 52 and my favorite use for it is doing an ESP matchup with the colored cards. It just makes so much sense. Thank you for teaching that. I could very easily not taught that. That's got nothing to do with Cube Magic. That's got nothing to do with the Cube cards. But the way the cards were marked, it made it perfect to teach a couple of different versions of an ESP matchup. So why would I not? Why would I not give people that added value? Now, like I say, from the reviewer point of view, it can be a pain in the arse, especially if you're having to consume as much Magic as me. I love watching tutorials that are long. I really do. My problem is I have limited time, and sometimes I'm up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning learning tricks off a tutorial because I've got to learn it for a review show. But as a consumer, if I wasn't doing a review show, as a consumer, as a customer, I love long tutorials. As long as it's not repeating the same thing 30 times, as long as it's offering valuable information, as long as it's just not a guy waffling for 4 hours, then I have absolutely no problem with a longer tutorial. So yeah, I mean, that's what this video is all about. There's nothing else really to say. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I know that this is kind of a thing that everyone is debating. You know, some people say, no, I love long tutorials. Craig, your tutorials are great, you know, and I'll have people joke to me and go, oh, here we go. It's going to be another 9-hour tutorial. And, you know, if people genuinely didn't want me to do these long tutorials, let me know in the comments down below. And I will happily just put a project out and just make it half an hour. But honestly, let's take Evoke. Let's take Evoke. Let's take Evoke, shall we? Anyone who's got Evoke, or Chop, or Keymaster, or any of my tricks that I've ever brought out, honestly, in the comments down below, tell me, would it have been a better project if I'd cut it down to half an hour and just taught 2 or 3 tricks? Honestly, I want to know. Be honest. If you've got one of my projects, any one of them that are more than a couple of hours long, be honest with me. Would it be a better project if it was cut down to half an hour and there were massively less information on there? There wasn't any special guests on there teaching their handlings of various different things. Because if that's the case, and I've got this wrong, and I'm normally quite good at reading this industry, but if I've got this wrong, that would make my life so much easier. So much easier. Because then, you know, I'm going to Alakazam now. I'm filming this on the Monday. I'm heading to Alakazam this evening. And I'm doing Alakazam for 4 days. I'm going to be at Alakazam till Friday, filming a bunch of different stuff. And one of them is the next Elite Coin Range project, which is going to be as big as Nightshade. It would be so much easier if I could go and do that project and just make it 20 minutes long, half an hour long. That would be so much easier for me because I know it's going to take 2.5 days to film, and then I'm going to have to go out for the next 2 or 3 weeks after that and go and get the live performances that I know that Pete is going to want. So that's fine. I'm happy to put the work in because I want to give people what I consider to be the best possible product that they can get when they buy from me. But my question to you is that the best way to do it? Am I an idiot? Should I just be banging them out with a couple of routines and just doing 30 minutes? 1 live performance, job done. Let's throw another one out there. 30 minutes, 1 live performance, job done. Next one, 30 minutes, 1 live. Okay, I could bang them out all day. Is that the way that we should do it? For the people that say, hey, long tutorials, I'm glad the time's turning. I'm glad that people aren't doing long tutorials or people are talking against it. Honestly, tell me, if you think that my projects would be better being half an hour long, let me know in the comments down below and I'll happily amend that immediately because it would give me so much more time to do whatever I need to do. It's an interesting topic to discuss. It's an interesting point, and that's what Magic TV is all about, creating discussion points and talking about what's happening in the industry. So do me a favor, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now, don't forget, you want to see more videos like this, all you got to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. I'm going to be back again tomorrow with another video, so watch out for that. And I want to say thank you so much for watching Magic TV. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. I really appreciate it. I will see you again soon. My name's Craig. Don't forget, by the way, to join the Netrix, where there's hundreds of long tutorials. So if you don't like long tutorials, don't join the Netrix. But if you do like long tutorials, go to the Netrix, www.thenetrix.com. You can go and get access immediately and see what all the fuss is about. I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. My name's Craig from Magic TV.